The Galactic Council chamber floated in the darkness of space, a massive station where 1,000 different species came to talk instead of fight. For 10,000 years, the galaxy had known peace. Wars still happened, but they were small, controlled, nothing like the ancient days of chaos. Ambassador Haywan stood before the council, her hands clasped behind her back. She wore the simple blue uniform of Earth's diplomatic corps. Around her, aliens of every shape and size watched from their seats. Some had scales, some had fur. Some were just clouds of gas held together by force fields, but all of them were staring at her. "The Empire has issued an ultimatum to Earth," Haywan said, her voice steady. "We have 30 days to surrender or face invasion." A ripple of sound moved through the chamber. Fear. There were the nightmare species of the galaxy, tall reptilian warriors who lived for battle. They had conquered 47 star systems. Any species that resisted them was destroyed completely. No survivors, no mercy. Council Speaker, a being that looked like a floating jellyfish made of light, spoke in a voice that echoed in everyone's mind. "They have never lost a war. Your species is young. You have no military to speak of. We recommend surrender." Haywan smiled, and something in that smile made uncomfortable, though he couldn't say why. "We'll consider your recommendation. Thank you." On Earth, Commander Min stood in the war room deep beneath Sol. Screens covered every wall showing Earth's defenses, ships in orbit, weapons platforms, underground bunkers, things the galaxy didn't know existed. "How long do we have?" asked Doctor. She was a small woman with sharp eyes, Earth's leading expert on alien biology. She studied the images of warriors on the screens. 29 days now," Min said. He was tall, with gray starting to show in his hair. Scars marked his hands and face. "Haywan is buying us time." "Will it be enough?" Min looked at the screens, at Earth, blue and green and beautiful. He had fought in the water wars, the resource conflicts, the final unification. He had seen humanity at its worst. "It'll have to be." In the command ship, Supreme Hunter watched Earth through the viewing port. It was a pretty planet, soft, green. He had destroyed prettier ones. "They haven't responded to our ultimatum," his second-in-command said. "Should we attack now?" Laughed, a sound like grinding rocks. "Let them have their 30 days. Let them feel the fear. It makes the conquest." He turned to his warriors. Hundreds of them, each one a killer who had proven themselves in battle. "Tell me, what do we know about humans?" "They're weak," one warrior said. "They unified their planet only 200 years ago. Before that they had small wars, but nothing serious." "They have no natural weapons," another added. "No claws, no fangs, no armor. They're soft-skinned prey animals." "They've been sending peace messages to the galaxy," a third said. "They talk about cooperation, understanding. They're frightened." Nodded. This would be easy, almost boring, but the needed Earth's location. It was perfectly positioned for their next expansion, and they took what they wanted. Back on Earth, in a small apartment in Tokyo, Private Ho couldn't sleep. He was 22 years old. He had joined the military because his family needed the money. They told him Earth was at peace, that the military was just for show, for ceremony. He looked at his hands. They were shaking. His grandmother found him sitting in the dark. She was 90 years old, and she had lived through the last war on Earth, the one that finally made humanity stop fighting itself. "Scared?" she asked. "Yes," Ho admitted. She sat beside him. "That's good. Fear keeps you alive, but let me tell you something about our family, about our people." She pulled up her sleeve, showing him the numbers tattooed on her arm, a survivor mark from the Tokyo exclusion zone. "We're still here. We survived because when someone comes to take everything from us, we don't freeze, we don't surrender, we do whatever it takes." "But the are strong, I know, but strength isn't everything." She smiled, and it was a sad smile, a knowing smile. "They're about to learn something about humanity, something we spent 200 years trying to forget." The days passed, the galaxy watched. Betting pools started among the alien species. How long would humanity last? Most said less than a week. Some generous souls said 2 weeks. Nobody said humanity would win. On day 28, HFY met with via hologram. The commander towered over her, even as a projection. "You have 2 days," said. "Surrender or die." "I have a question first," HFY said. "Have you studied our history?" Laughed. "Why would I? You're a nothing species, no achievements, no power." "I see," HFY nodded slowly. "Then let me tell you something. For the last 200 years humanity has been at peace, real peace. No wars, no conflicts. Do you know why?" "Because you're weak." "No," HFY's smile faded. Her eyes went cold. "Because we chose to be. We looked at what we had become, at what we were doing to ourselves, and we decided to stop. Do you understand what that means?" Said nothing. "It means," HFY continued, "that peace isn't our natural state. It's something we worked for, something we built, and you're about to tear it down." "I look forward to it," said, and ended the transmission. HFY stood alone in the empty room. She pressed a button on her wrist device. "Min, they're not going to back down." "I know," came the reply. "We're ready." "Are we doing the right thing?" There was a long pause. "We're doing the only thing. They came to our home. They threatened our families. What happens next is on them." On day 30, the fleet arrived. 200 warships dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of Earth's solar system. They were massive vessels covered in weapons. They had destroyed civilizations. They were death itself, wrapped in metal. Broadcast a message to Earth. His face appeared on every screen across the planet. "Humans, we are the nightmare your species fears. We have ended worlds. We have made proud species kneel and beg for mercy. You have one final chance. Surrender now, or we will teach you the meaning of horror." In the war room, Min watched the broadcast. Around him, his officers waited. Outside, across Earth, millions of soldiers moved into position. In orbit, ships powered up their weapons. In the oceans, submarines silently glided into attack positions. Min opened a channel. His face appeared on every ship. "Supreme Hunter, I am Commander Min of Earth Defense. You say you will teach us the meaning of horror." He paused. "You have no idea what horror means, but you will." He closed the channel and looked at his officers. At Ho, young and scared but ready. At who understood exactly what they were about to face. At Captain Sung Ho, who commanded the submarine fleet. At all of them. "For 200 years, we've been the species that learned to stop fighting," Min said quietly. "But we never forgot how. Show them what humanity really is." The war began. And the galaxy would never be the same. The first dropships screamed through Earth's atmosphere like falling stars. They expected resistance. Anti-aircraft fire, perhaps, maybe some missiles. What they got was silence. The cities below were dark, empty, like ghost towns. "Where are they?" asked a warrior as his ship landed in what used to be downtown Paris. The streets were empty. Buildings stood silent. "Did they evacuate?" "Cowards," another warrior spat. "They ran before we even arrived." They spread out through the city, weapons ready. Everything was too quiet, too still. Their thermal scanners showed nothing. No life signs, just empty buildings and empty streets. Then Private Ho pressed the detonator. The entire city block exploded. Buildings that had stood for centuries collapsed inward, crushing the warriors beneath tons of concrete and steel. The ones who survived found themselves trapped in a maze of rubble. And in that maze, humans were waiting. Ho and his unit moved through the ruins like shadows. They knew every tunnel, every hiding spot. They had practiced for weeks. They were strong and tough, but they were big, loud, easy to hear coming. "Contact!" a warrior shouted, raising his weapon. But Ho's unit had already moved. The shot hit empty air. A second later, an explosion came from behind the warrior, then another from the left, then the right. They spun around, trying to find the enemy. Ho watched from a hidden position. He was scared. His hands shook, but his grandmother's words echoed in his mind. "We do whatever it takes." He threw a smoke grenade and moved again. In the Atlantic Ocean, Captain Sung-ho commanded his submarine from the dark depths. On the surface, ships patrolled, searching for Earth's naval forces. They didn't understand that humanity's real power was beneath the waves. "Target locked," his weapons officer said. "Fire," Sung-ho ordered. Torpedoes shot through the water. They hit the ships from below where their armor was weakest. Explosions tore through hulls. Ships began to sink. They tried to fight back, but how do you fight an enemy you can't see? One that strikes from the deep and disappears. Sung-ho allowed himself a small smile. "Welcome to Earth. 70% of it wants to kill you." In orbit, the expected space combat. Ship against ship, weapons blazing. Instead, Earth's defense satellites simply weren't where they were supposed to be. The fleet found itself shooting at empty coordinates while real targets hit them from unexpected angles. "They're everywhere and nowhere," a ship captain screamed into his communicator. "How are they moving so fast?" Chief Engineer Bora watched from a hidden command station on the moon. She had designed Earth's defense network personally. It was beautiful in its simplicity. The satellites didn't stay in one place. They moved constantly, unpredictably. They used Earth's debris field as cover. They struck and vanished. "Missiles away," she said calmly. 20 satellites fired at once, their missiles coming from 20 different directions. The ships tried to defend, but they couldn't track everything, couldn't stop everything. Bora pulled up the next attack sequence. She had hundreds more planned. "Let's see how they handle this." Supreme Hunter watched the reports come in from his command ship, and for the first time in his long life he felt confused. His warriors were dying. His ships were taking damage, but he couldn't understand how. The humans weren't fighting like soldiers. They were fighting like prey that had learned to hunt. "They hide," one of his commanders reported. "They won't face us in open battle. They use traps, bombs, ambushes. It's dishonorable." "It's effective," growled. He pulled up footage from the battle in Paris. He watched human soldiers move through the ruins. They were small, weak-looking, but they moved with purpose, with coordination, and something else, something in the way they fought. They weren't afraid. No, that wasn't right. They were afraid. He could see it in their movements, but they fought anyway. They fought smart. They fought dirty. They fought to win. Called for more troops, more ships. He would overwhelm them with numbers. That always worked. On Earth, Doctor worked in a hidden medical facility. She treated wounded human soldiers, patched them up, sent them back to fight. But she also studied captured warriors. "Fascinating," she said, examining one under sedation. "Their bones are dense, muscles are twice as strong as ours, natural armor plating on their skin. They're built for war." "So why are we winning?" asked Medic Jin, helping her with the examination. "Because they think war is about strength," pointed to this brain scans. "Look, their brains are highly developed for combat, strategy, dominance, but see this area, the one that handles adaptation. It's small. They fight the same way every time because it always worked before." "And we smiled. "We spent 10,000 years fighting ourselves. We learned to adapt or die. We learned every dirty trick, every strategy, every way to win when we shouldn't be able to. They're stronger, but we're smarter." A warrior woke up on a medical table. He tried to struggle, but he was strapped down. Jin approached him with medicine. "Stay still," she said gently. "You're wounded. I'm going to help you." The warrior stared at her in confusion. "You heal me? Why?" "Because that's what medics do." Jin treated his wounds with skilled hands. "We're not monsters." "You're enemies." "Yes, but you're also alive, and while you're alive, you deserve treatment." She finished bandaging him and stepped back. "You'll be held as a prisoner of war. You'll be fed, kept safe. That's the law." The warrior said nothing. In culture, captured enemies were killed, Always, this made no sense. Jin saw his confusion. Let me tell you something. We humans have rules about war. We made them because we fought so many wars we almost destroyed ourselves. We learned that even in war, some things are sacred. Even enemies deserve basic dignity. But you fight without honor, the warrior said. You hide, you use tricks, you don't face us as warriors. Jin's expression hardened. You came to our home, you threatened our families, you want honor. Honor is something you earn, you didn't earn it. She leaned close. And let me tell you what's really scary. We're still following the rules, we're still being civilized. Imagine what we could do if we weren't. The warrior felt something he had never felt before: fear. Across the planet, the pattern repeated. They landed expecting glorious battle. Instead, they found themselves in a nightmare. Cities that became death traps. Forests where every tree could hide a sniper. Oceans that swallowed their ships. Skies where their fighters fell to weapons they couldn't see. And the humans, the weak, soft humans, they didn't fight fair. They didn't fight with honor. They fought to survive. And survival was something humanity had practiced for millions of years. Called an emergency meeting with his commanders. Status: we've lost 30% of ground forces, 20 ships, hundreds of fighters. The commander's voice was shaken. Sir, they're using strategies we've never seen, weapons we didn't know they had. They turn everything into a weapon: buildings, water, even their weather. Weather. They created a storm, deliberately. It destroyed an entire landing force. His hands clenched into fists. They're prey animals. They shouldn't be able to do this. Perhaps, another commander said quietly, we were wrong about what they are. Was about to respond when the lights in his command ship flickered, then died. Emergency lights came on, bathing everything in red. What's happening? Something's wrong with the power core. Engineering is checking. The ship shuddered, alarms blared, and through the speakers came a human voice, calm, almost friendly. Good evening, Supreme Hunter. This is Captain Sung-Ho of Earth Defense. We're currently inside your ship. We attached a device to your power core about 20 minutes ago. Don't worry, it won't explode. Probably. But I thought you should know something. His blood ran cold. How did you? We're not trapped out there with you, Sung-Ho's voice continued. You're trapped in here with us. Sleep well. The transmission ended. Stood in the red emergency lighting, surrounded by his finest warriors, in the most advanced warship in the fleet. And for the first time in his life, Supreme Hunter understood what it meant to be prey. Made a decision. If the humans wanted to play dirty, he would show them what real war looked like. He ordered orbital bombardment of major cities, not military targets, cities where civilians lived. Fire, he commanded. Energy beams fell from the sky like the wrath of gods. Buildings turned to ash. Whole city blocks vanished in seconds. From space, watched the destruction and waited for humanity to break, to surrender, to beg for mercy. Instead, the attacks increased. Sir, his tactical officer reported, voice shaking, the humans have launched everything, every missile, every weapon, every ship. They're not retreating, they're coming at us harder. Stared at the tactical display. Red markers showed human forces converging from every direction. They had lost millions in his bombardment, and they were attacking more fiercely than before. What kind of species does this? On Earth, Commander Min stood in the ruins of what used to be Moscow. Smoke filled the sky. The dead numbered in the hundreds of thousands. Around him, his soldiers waited for orders. Sir, one of them said, we've lost so many, maybe we should. No, Min's voice was ice. They think they can break us with fear, with death. They don't understand. He looked at his soldiers, at their faces, angry, grieving, but not broken, never broken. We've survived worse than this. We've survived each other. Protocol endurance is now active. Across the planet, the message spread. Protocol endurance. It was a plan made long ago after the last war. a plan humanity hoped they would never use. It meant one thing: total war. No more rules, no more restraint. Whatever it takes to survive. In Geneva, historian Dong activated a broadcast to the entire galaxy. Every species with a radio could hear it, see it. "People of the galaxy," he said calmly, standing in his small office, "you've been watching our war with you think you understand what's happening. You don't. Let me show you who humans really are." The broadcast changed. Images filled the screens, ancient images, medieval knights cutting down enemies, Roman legions burning cities, Mongol hordes sweeping across continents. The images got more recent: trenches filled with mud and bodies, cities flattened by bombs, mushroom clouds rising over populations. "This is human history," Dong continued. 10,000 years of war. We fought with sticks and stones, then swords, then guns, then bombs, then weapons so terrible we promised never to use them again. We fought in every environment on our planet: jungles, deserts, oceans, ice, mountains, underground. We learned to turn everything into a weapon." The images kept coming, faster now, more terrible. "We fought for food, for water, for land, for religion, for pride, for no reason at all. We got so good at killing each other we almost made ourselves extinct. 3 times. Do you understand what that means?" Across the galaxy, aliens watched in horror. "It means," Dong said, "that 200 years ago we looked at ourselves and decided to stop. Not because we couldn't keep fighting, not because we were weak, but because we chose to. We chose peace, and they took that choice away." He leaned toward the camera. "So now you'll see what we're really capable of. And I'm sorry, because what comes next is going to terrify you." The broadcast ended. On the Galactic Council station, Observer watched the broadcast with growing horror. He had studied human culture when they first made contact. He thought he understood them: peaceful, diplomatic, eager to join the galactic community. He was wrong. He pulled up Earth's files, read them again. The words were the same, but now they meant something different. Earth's unification wasn't a peace treaty, it was a ceasefire. The human military wasn't ceremonial, it was sleeping. And humanity hadn't been at peace, they had been practicing restraint. Sent an emergency message to the Council. "We made a mistake. The humans aren't a peaceful species that learned to fight. They're a war species that learned to stop, and we let them wake them up." In space, Admiral Wu commanded Earth's real fleet. The ships that had been hidden, built in secret over 2 centuries, just in case. They emerged from the dark side of the moon, and the fleet saw them for the first time. The ships were ugly, no sleek design, no aesthetic beauty, just weapons and armor and engines. They looked like flying fortresses, because that's what they were. "All ships," Wu said calmly, "weapons free. Show them what we built during our peace." The Earth fleet opened fire. They had superior numbers, better shields, stronger armor, but human ships fought with a strategy the aliens had never seen. They used the debris field as cover. They coordinated attacks with mathematical precision. They sacrificed damaged ships in kamikaze runs that took out multiple enemy vessels. A captain watched a human ship, engines dead, life support failing, turn itself into a missile and ram his cruiser. The explosion tore both ships apart. "They killed themselves," the captain whispered. "They killed themselves to take us with them." His second-in-command looked at him. "Sir, what do we do against an enemy that doesn't fear death?" The captain had no answer. In the intelligence division, Officer Min implemented her psychological warfare program. She hacked into every communication channel, and she broadcast sounds. Human music, war drums, battle songs, poetry about death and glory, the sounds of human soldiers chanting, laughing, screaming war cries. But worst of all, she broadcast silence, long periods of nothing, letting the warriors sit in their ships in the dark, wondering when the next attack would come. One subcommander named found himself unable to sleep. Every time he closed his eyes, he heard those sounds. Human voices, human music. It shouldn't be scary, but it was. Because behind every song was the same message: we're coming for you. Had captured a human soldier, a young one, Private Ho. The boy was wounded, scared, but he didn't beg, didn't cry. "Why do you fight so hard?" asked him. "You're clearly terrified." Ho smiled through the pain. "Because you came to my home, you threatened my family, my friends, everything I love. But you'll die. Maybe, probably, but you'll remember me. Every human you kill will make the next one angrier, more determined. We don't forget, we don't forgive, and we never ever stop." Ho leaned forward despite his wounds. "You want to know what's funny? For the last 200 years we were bored. We had no wars to fight, no challenges. We were getting soft, comfortable, and then you showed up and gave us a purpose again. So thank you." Step back, the boy was insane, had to be. But looking into Ho's eyes saw something else. Not insanity, certainty. This boy knew he might die, and he didn't care, because his death would mean something. "What are you?" whispered. "Human," Ho said simply, "just human." The war entered its third week. They had superior technology, more ships, more warriors, but they were losing slowly, steadily, impossibly. Because the humans fought smart. They used guerrilla tactics, psychological warfare. They turned every disadvantage into an advantage. They were outnumbered, so they made every shot count. They were weaker, so they fought dirty. They were dying, so they made their deaths hurt the enemy as much as possible. And they were winning. Stood in his command center looking at the casualty reports. 50% losses, half his fleet, gone. His warriors, the finest in the galaxy, were breaking. Some were deserting. Others were making mistakes born of fear and exhaustion. "Pull back," he ordered. "Sorry." "Pull back, retreat to the outer system. We need to regroup." As the fleet, Min watched from Earth. He didn't celebrate, didn't smile, just watched. "They're running," one of his officers said. "No," Min replied. "They're learning, that's worse. A scared enemy makes mistakes. An enemy that learns becomes dangerous." He turned to his communications officer. "Contact the Council. Tell them they attacked Earth unprovoked. Tell them we're defending ourselves. And tell them that if they don't intervene, we won't stop at defense." The message was clear. Earth had tried peace. Earth had tried diplomacy. Now Earth was showing what happened when you forced them to fight. And the galaxy was starting to realize that the most terrifying thing about humans wasn't their ability to fight. It was their choice of when to stop. The fleet regrouped at the edge of the solar system, licking their wounds, had called for reinforcements. 3 more battle groups were on their way, but that would take time, time the humans were using to prepare. In the Earth Command Center, Min received a message. His hand stopped moving over the tactical display. "What is it?" Doctor asked. "The Council is calling for a ceasefire. They want us to stop fighting. Let them negotiate a peace." "What did you tell them?" Min's jaw tightened. "I told them no. They came to our home. They killed millions of our people. There's no negotiation, only victory or death." Looked at him carefully. She had known Min for 20 years, seen him in peacetime, watched him become comfortable with civilian life. But now she saw the soldier he used to be, the one who had fought in Earth's last wars. Cold, efficient, terrifying. "Min," she said softly, "don't lose yourself in this." "Too late," he replied. "The moment they fired on Moscow, I stopped being the man who wanted peace. Now I'm the man who ends threats." He activated a communication channel. "Admiral Wu, you're authorized to deploy the Angel Protocol." Went pale. "You can't be serious." "I'm very serious." Angel Protocol was a nightmare. A weapon system designed during Earth's darkest period. Ships that could hide in the shadow of asteroids, strike without warning and disappear. They called them angels because they brought death from above, silent and unstoppable. But there was more to Angel Protocol, things that even didn't know about, things that humanity had promised never to use. We said we would never, started. They killed millions, Min interrupted. They attacked population centers, they broke the rules first. Now we play by their rules. No, correction, we play by no rules at all. Admiral Wu received the order and smiled grimly. His fleet moved into position. The Angel ships separated from the main group, disappearing into the asteroid field like ghosts. And then they waited. When the reinforcements arrived, they found nothing. No Earth ships, no defenses, just empty space. "Where are they?" demanded. "They should be here. They should be defending their planet." "Scanners show nothing, sir. Wait." The asteroids exploded. Not natural explosions, human weapons. And from the debris the Angel ships emerged, weapons firing. The reinforcements found themselves in a kill zone, surrounded, outmaneuvered. And the Earth ships weren't just shooting to disable, they were shooting to kill. Chief Engineer Bora watched from her moon base, directing the attack. She had designed the Angel ships personally. No wasted space, no comfort, just weapons and engines and a single-minded purpose: destroy the enemy. "Release Package 7, she ordered. Package 7 was a collection of weapons that Earth had banned during the unification. Biological agents that targeted specific DNA patterns, nanobots that ate through ship hulls, electromagnetic pulses that fried electronic systems, things that were illegal under galactic law. Bora didn't care about galactic law anymore. The weapons deployed, ships began to fail, systems crashed, warriors fell sick, hulls developed holes that spread like disease. "What is this?" a captain screamed. "What are they using?" His ship was dying around him, not from battle damage, from something eating it, consuming it. He watched in horror as the metal walls turned to dust. On his command ship, alarms blared constantly. They were losing, not just losing, being slaughtered. "We need to retreat," his second-in-command shouted. "We can't retreat," said. "If we run, we admit defeat. The entire galaxy will know that we're beaten by primitives. Better alive and shamed than dead and proud." Knew he was right, but pride was everything to the... His entire life, his entire culture was built on being the strongest, the most feared, and now humans had shown the galaxy that they could be beaten. He made a decision. If he was going to die, he would take the human commander with him. Personal combat, the old way. "Send a message to Commander Min," ordered. "Challenge him to single combat, winner takes all." Min received the challenge in his war room. His officers protested immediately. "It's a trap," one said. "He's twice your size," another added. "It doesn't matter," a third said. "We're winning, we don't need to accept." But Min stood up, checking his weapons. "No, I accept." "Why?" demanded. "Because this is how we end it, not with more death, not with genocide, one fight, one winner, then it's over." He looked at her. "Besides, I want to look him in the eye. I want him to understand what he did, what he caused." The fight was arranged on a neutral station. The entire galaxy watched. Billions of beings tuned in to see human versus the prey against the predator. Stood in the center of the arena. He was massive, nearly 3 meters tall, covered in natural armor, claws that could tear through metal. He had killed hundreds in personal combat. He was death itself. Min walked in from the opposite side. He looked small in comparison, weak. He carried no heavy armor, just a simple combat suit, a knife, a pistol. "You're going to die, human," said. "Maybe," Min replied, "but not easily." The fight began. Charged forward, expecting to overpower the human quickly, but Min wasn't there. He had moved, rolled to the side, came up firing his pistol. The shots hit armor and bounced off. Laughed. "Your weapons are useless." "I know," Min said and kept shooting. Charged again. Again Min dodged. This time he threw a device at its feet. It exploded not with force but with smoke, thick black smoke that filled the arena. Coughed, eyes watering, he couldn't see. He lashed out blindly but hit nothing. Then pain, sharp, sudden, his leg. Min had cut him, not deep, just enough to slow him down. "You fight without honor," roared. "I fight to win," came the reply from somewhere in the smoke. The smoke cleared. Saw Min standing across the arena. The human was bleeding from a wound on his shoulder, had hit him at least once, but the human was smiling. "You're stronger than me," Min said. "Faster, tougher, you have every physical advantage, but you know what you don't have." "What?" "Experience fighting enemies stronger than you." Min moved forward, knife ready. "We humans, we spent 10,000 years fighting enemies we shouldn't be able to beat. We learned to use our brains when our bodies weren't enough. We learned to cheat, to lie, to do whatever it takes." Roared and charged one final time. But this time, Min didn't dodge. He stepped forward inside's reach. Too close for the big warrior to use his strength effectively, and Min's knife found the gap in its natural armor. The blade went deep. Stumbled back shocked, he looked down at the wound, then at Min. "How?" he whispered. "Because I studied you," Min said. "I learned everything about anatomy, found your weak spots, made a plan, and executed it." He stepped back, watching fall to his knees. "That's what humans do. We adapt, we learn, we overcome." Fell forward, gasping. He wasn't dead, but he was beaten. "You were right," said, voice weak. "We didn't know what horror was. We thought it was strength, power, the ability to destroy, but we were wrong." "Then what is it?" Min asked. Looked up at him. "Horror is meeting an enemy that's weaker than you in every way and losing anyway. Horror is realizing that all your strength means nothing against someone who refuses to quit, who refuses to die, who fights smarter, not harder." He coughed, blue blood on his lips. "Horror is you, humans. You're the real monsters." Min stood over the fallen warrior. Around the galaxy, billions watched, waiting to see what the human would do, kill his enemy, show mercy. Min holstered his weapons and called for medical help. "The fight is over," he said. "You lost, but you don't have to die. We're not monsters. We're just very, very good at war when we need to be." As medics rushed to help, Min turned to the cameras, to the galaxy watching. "The war is over, the surrendered, but let this be a lesson to everyone watching. Humanity chose peace. We chose diplomacy. We chose cooperation. And when that was taken from us, we showed you what we're really capable of. Remember this. Remember what happened when you forced us to fight, and pray you never make us do it again." The broadcast ended. In his command center, Min sat down heavily. He was exhausted, wounded, victorious. But he felt no joy, only relief that it was over, and fear of what humanity had shown the galaxy. 3 months after the war ended, the Galactic Council convened an emergency session. Every species sent representatives. Every screen in the galaxy showed the proceedings. This wasn't just another meeting. This was Judgment Day for humanity. Ambassador Haywan stood before them once again. But this time, the aliens didn't look at her with pity or concern. They looked at her with fear. Council speaker spoke first. "Humanity, you defeated you showed capabilities we never suspected, and now the galaxy must decide what to do about you." "Do about us?" Haywan raised an eyebrow. "We defended ourselves, nothing more." "You used banned weapons," an alien representative said. "Biological agents, nanobots, weapons that violate galactic law." "They bombed our cities," Haywan replied calmly. "They killed millions of civilians. They broke the rules first. We simply responded in kind." "And that's what terrifies us," said. "You responded, efficiently, brutally. And now every species in this galaxy is wondering, what happens if we anger humanity? What happens if we become your enemy?" Haywan was quiet for a moment, then she nodded. "You want honesty? Fine, here's the truth. For 200 years we've been pretending we're just like you, peaceful, civilized, eager to join your galactic community, but we're not like you, we never were." She pulled up images, Earth's history, the wars, the weapons, the destruction. We're the species that invented nuclear weapons and used them. We're the species that created viruses that could wipe out continents. We're the species that fought for so long and so hard, we nearly made ourselves extinct. And the only reason we stopped was because we chose to. Not because we lost. Not because we were too weak, but because we decided that enough was enough. The council chamber was silent. So yes, Haywan continued, you should be afraid of us, because we know what we're capable of. And we know that if we're pushed, if we're threatened, if someone tries to destroy us, we will respond. Not with restraint, not with mercy, but with everything we have, because that's what survival means to us. Then you admit you're dangerous, an alien said. Oh, we're very dangerous, Haywan agreed. But here's what you need to understand. We don't want to be dangerous. We want to be peaceful. We want to trade, to learn, to grow. We want to be part of this galactic community. But we won't be victims, ever. So the choice is yours. Work with us and we'll be the best allies you could ask for. Make us your enemy and you'll learn why they are broken. Doctor stood beside Haywan, adding her perspective. We humans have a saying, speak softly and carry a big stick. We prefer peace, but we prepare for war, always. That's the price of survival on Earth. And now that we're in the galaxy, that's not going to change. The council deliberated for hours, days. Finally, they made their decision. Humanity will be granted full membership in the Galactic Council, announced. But with conditions. You will share your military technology with the Council. You will submit to oversight. And you will agree to use your capabilities only in defense, never in aggression. Agreed, Haywan said. With one condition of our own. If any species attacks another unprovoked as they attacked us, humanity reserves the right to intervene. We won't stand by and watch genocide. Not ever again. The council hesitated, then agreed. On Earth, life slowly returned to normal. Cities were rebuilt. Memorials were erected for the millions who died. Private Ho returned home to his grandmother. I survived, he told her, sitting in their small apartment. She looked at him, saw the changes. He was older now, not in years but in experience. Did you? Ho understood what she meant. Part of him hadn't survived. The innocent boy who joined the military for money was gone. In his place was a soldier who had seen the worst of humanity and the worst of the galaxy. I don't know, he admitted. I did things, grandmother, things I'm not proud of. She took his hand. We all did. That's the price of survival. But now we have a choice. We can let those things define us, or we can use them to make sure we never have to do them again. Across the planet, millions of soldiers struggled with the same questions. What they had done. What they had become. Commander Min addressed them in a broadcast. We fought a war we didn't want, he said. We killed when we wanted to save. We destroyed when we wanted to build. And now we have to live with that, but remember this, we didn't start this war. We didn't choose this path. It was forced on us. And when it was forced on us, we did what we had to do. We survived. And survival is not a sin. In the Empire, things had changed dramatically. Supreme Hunter recovered from his wounds, but he was no longer the fearless warrior. He had looked into the abyss of human warfare and it had looked back. He met with his council. We're going to change, he announced. No more unprovoked attacks, no more conquest for glory. We'll only fight when necessary, and we'll learn from the humans, not their weapons, their restraint. His warriors were shocked. You want us to be like humans? I want us to survive, said. The humans taught me something. True strength isn't in your ability to destroy. It's in your ability to choose not to destroy. They could have wiped us out, exterminated our species. Instead, they stopped when they won. That's real power. Sub-Commander was assigned to work with human forces, a joint task force to keep the peace in the galaxy. He met with Captain Sung-Ho. I don't understand you, admitted. You smile, you laugh, you seem so normal, but I saw what you did in the war, the things you're capable of. Sung-ho smiled. That's because we are normal. The things we did in the war, that's normal for us too. We're not two different species. We're one species that contains both, the capacity for great kindness and terrible violence. And we choose every day which one to be. How do you choose? By remembering what happens when we don't choose wisely, Sung-ho said, pulling up images of Earth's history. Every monument on our planet, every museum, every memorial, they're all reminders of what we're capable of, both good and bad. We learn from our past so we don't repeat it. Medic Jin established a clinic that treated both humans and aliens. She specialized in helping soldiers recover from trauma, both physical and mental. You saved my life during the war, a warrior told her. Why? Because that's who I choose to be, Jin said simply. I can kill. I've been trained to kill, but I choose to heal instead. That's the difference between us and the old us. We have a choice now, and we try to choose better. Chief Engineer Bora was called before a human ethics committee. They questioned her about the weapons she had deployed, the banned technologies, the things that violated galactic law. Do you regret what you did? They asked. Bora thought carefully. I regret that I had to do it. I regret that the situation required it, but I don't regret doing it, because if I hadn't, we would have lost. Our species would have been enslaved or destroyed, and that was unacceptable. Will you design such weapons again? Only if necessary, only if we're forced to, but yes. If Earth is threatened, I will do whatever it takes to defend it. That's my choice. That's my responsibility. Admiral Wu retired from active service. He opened a school for young officers, teaching them strategy and tactics, but also teaching them something else. War is not glorious, he told his students. It's necessary sometimes, but never glorious. Every time you fight, you lose something. Some part of yourself dies. So fight only when you must. And when you must fight, fight to win. Fight to end it quickly. Fight to make sure you never have to fight again. Historian Dong compiled everything that happened into a comprehensive record. He called it The Species That Weaponized Mercy. It became required reading in schools across the galaxy. In it he wrote, humanity's greatest strength is not our weapons, not our tactics, not our refusal to surrender. Our greatest strength is our ability to choose. We can be monsters, we can be saints. We can be warriors or healers, destroyers or builders. And we understand that these aren't different people. They're all us. All part of what it means to be human. The forced us to choose the warrior. But now that the war is over, we choose something else. We choose to be better. Years passed. The galaxy adjusted to having humans as active members. Trade increased. Cultural exchanges happened. Human music, art, and philosophy spread across worlds. But so did human martial arts, human military academies. Species that wanted to defend themselves came to Earth to learn. The Inhumans formed an unlikely alliance. Former enemies became partners. They established joint bases, shared technology, and together they became the galaxy's peacekeepers. One day, sensors detected something approaching from deep space, something massive, something hostile, a fleet of ships unlike anything the galaxy had seen. They sent a message, submit or be destroyed. The Galactic Council panicked. This new enemy made the look peaceful. But then Commander Min, now an old man but still serving, made a broadcast. This is Commander Min of Earth Defense Forces. To the approaching fleet, you made a mistake. You see, this galaxy has something it didn't have before. It has humanity. And humanity has something you don't understand. We have experience. We have allies. And we have a very long memory of what happens when someone threatens our home. He was joined by, also older but still strong. The warrior spoke next. This is Supreme Hunter of the Empire. We learned a hard lesson. We learned that the scariest thing in the galaxy isn't the strongest warrior. It's the warrior who knows when to stop fighting and when to start again. You should learn that lesson too, before it's too late. The approaching fleet hesitated. They had studied the galaxy, seen the various species, judged them weak, but something in those messages made them pause. "What are humans?" their commander asked. An intelligence officer pulled up the records. The war with the footage, the history, he watched for hours. Then he looked at his commander. "Sir," he said quietly, "we should leave. We're stronger than they are." That's what the thought. The alien fleet changed course. They left the galaxy without firing a shot. In the council chamber turned to Haywan. "You did it. You scared them off without fighting." "That's the best kind of victory," Haywan said. "The one where nobody dies." "But you were ready to fight." "Always," Haywan admitted. "That's what it means to be human. We prepare for war so we can have peace. We remember horror so we can appreciate mercy. We know what we're capable of so we can choose to be better." She looked out at the galaxy, at all the species working together, building something new, something better. "We thought we knew horror until humanity arrived," said softly. "That's what everyone said during the war." "And now?" Haywan asked. "Now we understand," replied. "Horror isn't what you can do, it's choosing when to do it. And you humans, you terrify us not because you're violent, but because you can turn that violence on and off like a switch. Because you can be gentle and kind, then become deadly in an instant. Because you contain both heaven and hell inside you, and you choose which one the galaxy sees." Haywan smiled. "We're just trying to survive, same as everyone else. We just learned how to do it better than most." As she left the council chamber, she passed a memorial, a simple stone with names carved into it, the humans who died in the war, millions of them. She touched the stone gently. "We did it," she whispered. "We survived. We became part of something bigger, and we didn't lose ourselves in the process." Behind her, the galaxy moved on. Ships traveled between worlds. Species traded and learned from each other. Peace reigned. But in classrooms across 1,000 worlds, teachers told their students about the war, about the species that seemed weak but proved to be strong, about the lesson that changed the galaxy forever. "Remember," they said, "that strength comes in many forms, and the scariest form is the strength to choose peace even when you have the power for war. That's what makes humans special, not their weapons, not their tactics, but their choice. And that's a lesson we should all learn." And in the darkness between the stars, other species listened, learned, and understood. The galaxy had changed, and humanity had changed it, not with conquest, not with force, but with the simple demonstration of what it means to survive at any cost and then choose something better when survival is assured. They thought they knew horror until humanity arrived. Now they knew something else. They knew hope.